So, without further ado, today I wanted to speak about um, lots of things really that are very at the forefront at the moment. I've released a course recently, which I'm intend to plug constantly throughout this live session. Every 5 minutes, I'm going to plug my course. I know. It's the course. I've written this course called "Whispers Beneath an Ancient Sun," and it's been another sort of 2 year project. And even this came from it really. So it's been a long sort of thought process. But essentially, the course is about learning to balance yourself throughout the seasons as they go by, as in the actual seasons, the 4 seasons, but also as seasons of our lives. A lot of the course at the beginning is about fear, and we start in winter, and we work with fear. But the undertone, without saying too much about it, I don't want to sort of spell out what the course is because it's quite an open experience, and I wouldn't want to shape it with my own. It's to be interpreted how you wish. But anyway, there's an undercurrent of really working out what you're waiting for in life. What's stopping you from being here and present and at ease, and dare I say, happy or joyful, or we're in this constant state of waiting. I feel whether you're here now waiting for me to say something that will make you feel better, or you're waiting for the weekend, you're waiting for Christmas, you're waiting for some pumpkins, waiting for a war to end, whatever it is, we're always waiting. And I think the way that the world is at the moment, and has been since time begun, to be honest, is that we have to find peace, and it's more than ever in any given moment. And I think we've got a duty to do that. And I was thinking about that today as I was sort of thinking about what I'd say. And I was thinking about obviously the wars that are going on. We've got Gaza, we've got Ukraine, we've got other wars in other places. There's a lot we're aware of, and it's quite overwhelming, I think, to be aware of so much. And I was thinking about that in terms of our how we evolve as humans, and perhaps years and years ago, thousands of years ago, or not that long ago, we weren't really that aware of the whole world. We were aware of our village and our town and the problems there, and that was it. And we could sort of handle that. Our brains could kind of work with that. It was reachable. If someone in our village or our town had a problem or something was going on, we were able to usually take action because it was a localized thing. But now we have things thousands of miles away from us that we can't touch. They're so far away we can't reach them, and we're seeing things and hearing about things that are horrendous. And so there's a lot of fear in us as well around what's going on in the world. But we can't get close to it. We can't be physically there and experience, in any other way than through screens and things. And so I was thinking about that in terms of how we evolve, and I kind of came to the conclusion that that these are reminders. The fact we have the technology to see so much more and see the world and see the suffering in the world as well as the wonderful things as well. These things can only tell us that we have a sort of duty to raise our own consciousness and raise our own awareness, and make peace with where we are in whatever we have in our lives right now. And it should kind of seeing war and seeing violence and things should push us within ourselves to look at where that potential lays with us. We've all got that within us as well. Whether we'd like to think of ourselves as a perfect being, I'd never do that. Clearly over history, we've seen waves of these things and people doing horrible things, and I think we've all got a bit of that. If we were put in these positions or these things happened, and people in our families were harmed in such a way, I think we've all got that sort of instinct within us, and I think seeing these things is a good sort of like set a sounding board or rebound sort of board for us to go, right, we need to look deeper at ourselves and truly find what peace looks like and who we are as human beings, and where the goodness is and how we can help ourselves and others. So that's also sort of woven into the course a little bit as well. That idea that we're essentially, we're aware of ourselves, we're aware of our emotions, we're aware of how we interact with the world. And when we sit and meditate, a lot of the things that we sort of fight with and grapple with in the day disappear. And of course that's because, we sit in a quiet place, we're not out in the world, and there's lots of conditions that help that. But there's also, anyone who's been meditating for a while, you may have had an experience where you've really felt completely at peace with everything. Like, you might be in pain, you might have something horrendous going on in your life, but there's a moment of peace in meditation that comes, and there's no cause, there's no thing around the corner that's going to make you happy. It's for nothing. And that's what I'm interested in. That's what I try and teach, that idea that any given moment can be really wonderful and lovely, and there isn't an expectation. This moment, why not? Why does this moment need to hold a sense of strain, or hold a sense of performance? I'm teaching here, I'm on a screen, there's people watching. What is it within me? Where's the sort of the fight to say the right thing, or to please someone, or to, there's so much talk in the world, there's so much, I feel I'm tarring everyone with the same brush, but there's a sort of authenticity is dropping in some ways, in what we put forward in life, to others, especially online. There's lots of things we can do to, make ourselves look better than we are. And so I think, rather than me talking actually for a moment, maybe we should just sit for a minute and just notice what's going on for us at the moment, and then we can work from that place, I think. Before I continue, I'm going to just read anything anyone said, just in case there's anything we can work on a bit here as well. Thank you everyone for coming though, lovely to see you all. Yeah, I think there's a feeling of deep unrest in the world, very unsettled, a lot of fear, quite overwhelming at the moment, I think, for everyone. If anyone that has a communication device, whether it be phone or laptop, or looks at the news, it feels like a runaway train, I think, with AI coming in as well, and what that means. And I truly think that is a huge sort of siren for us to continue with meditation, continue to guard our peace, and to not turn our back on things like, in Buddhism, when I used to be part of a Buddhist group, and it was a lot of emphasis on the fact that meditation isn't sitting and avoiding these things. It's not there's a war going on, let's all sit and meditate through it. It's not about that. It's about sort of raising consciousness that's what Insight Timer is. What's behind Insight Timer really is raising consciousness. That's the main sort of thought, I think, behind the whole app, is to raise consciousness and for people to be more aware of themselves. I was talking to my kids today and talking about, there's my son who's 8 has an issue with a boy at school, and I sort of got the idea that this kid's probably got a few issues and things. He's always quite controlling, trying to prove himself, and I was kind of trying to explain how, an awareness of other people's struggles, an awareness of where it's coming from. Where's that behaviour coming from? Why do you think he's doing that? And and can you see that in yourself? And I was talking about how I shout sometimes, believe it or not. I actually shout at my kids. And I see my son sometimes shout at his brother, react. And I said, do you know you've got that from me? That's from you. And then, I was telling about how I teach meditation. I said, that's your awareness of that. Then you can change it once you're aware. Oh, I do that. I don't really like the fact I do that. I wonder if I can take a breath before I shout, or I can become more self-aware of that. Not, I don't give him a miserable time. He does what he wants, pretty much. I'm not sort of preaching at my son all day. Don't worry. I just simply don't have time for that. We do have these conversations sometimes, and I do like the philosophical conversations, because he's open to them as well. And what sort of meditation teacher would I be if I just taught? I'll teach everyone else's kids, but my own I'll just leave be. That self-awareness, I'm sort of just trying to get, without going too heavy on it, just that self-reflection and noticing where things come from. Where does it come from? So, it doesn't take much in a meditation to sort of shift something and change ourselves, just by sitting and letting yourself spin out a little bit. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lindsay. I'm really glad that helped. I feel better as well. When I do these lives, there's a bit of a mad rush. Like 10 minutes ago, I was saying goodnight to my kids and go to sleep. And then there's all the other stuff you have to do. And my wife's train was late, so it was all a bit of a set-up thing. And then I forgot everything I was going to say. Not that I planned to. I try not to plan too much. Try and not make a plan, because it sort of gets a bit stuck in one place. So yeah, I really, something I found really helpful, more so since I've got less time, I have kids and less sleep and things. I found it helpful, especially when my kids are really little, is little mini meditations, tiny little meditations. They're amazing. I came from a place, from this Buddhist background. I teach secular, and I'm not Buddhist, but I love all the teachings that come from Buddhism. There was the 3-hour meditations, the 1-hour meditations, and it all went down to half an hour. I felt guilty for just doing half an hour a day. Then I really realised how long you can meditate for, and for it to really have a good impact. And now little breathers throughout the day, and I noticed what's here. Oh, fire! I've been really interested in the elements. Fiery, all right. Need some water, calm. Just if you're not a visual person, just simply breathing into something can always help. Just let it release. Let your belly out. We're always holding our bellies in. Ooh. Let it all out. Like this. Make no effort. And it can really help. And being aware that you're aware. I talk about this a lot. Stopping and what I found really interesting, really helpful, is when you bring your awareness behind your head. Do this now, actually. It's really interesting. Bring your awareness behind your head and notice yourself. It's a strange technique I was taught once by a therapist. She used it for people who've got dyslexia and ADHD as well. And I just really intrigued by how when you bring your attention behind your head, you step away from your, this is true for me, of course it's different for everyone else. Um, you just become aware of yourself, and I see it. Only all I see is humor. Like, I think it's quite funny when we step back from ourselves. Even if you find another way of doing that, you can do it in meditation. You know, you can sit there and you're aware of yourself. When you notice a train of thoughts or a lot of things, and you step away and just go and watch them, I feel a sort of lightness creeping in. I don't know if anyone else feels that sense of lightness, that you're not in it. You're aware of it. You're seeing it play out. And sometimes you find the things you're thinking quite ridiculous, or the fears you have ridiculous, and you get this sort of new sort of energy burst, a new sense of being. And it's not a trick of the mind or anything. I think it's just it's sort of cutting into the present moment. Through stepping back a little bit. Of course, you can't step away from yourself, unfortunately. You're stuck with yourself. You're always in there. So we might as well do our best with it and work with it as best we can. So I was going to talk about fear, wasn't I? I think, fear is obviously in the air at the moment. And fear is largely the fear of fear, the fear of the sensation, the unpleasant feeling that we get from it, rather than the actual fear itself. If we were fearful and scared of something and it didn't have any bad sensation, we felt excited, then fear is no longer to be feared, if that makes sense. When I've, I really encourage you, if you're feeling fear, you're trying something new in life, you're going out your comfort zone, or you've read something that's really worried you or scared you, and you first thing you do is you have to notice it. And we're in a world of distraction, and what we do is we go try and distract ourselves from it, which seems like a good fix, but generally we disconnect our mind and body again and go, oh no, I don't want to feel that. Oh, let's just stay up here. And there we are up there in our head, just thinking that's going to sort it all out. But our bodies go, no, please help me out here. Come and visit. So we have to go visit the fear. Hello, what's going on? Okay, it's a sensation. It's unpleasant. All right. Then we fear it being the fear getting worse. Is this fear going to take over my entire life now? That sort of jittery feeling when you get. I don't know, if you don't like the dentist or something like that. That's a good place to practice. What I found is, like anything in life, if we, rather than trying to block that energy of fear, trying to block it, trying to hold it down, trying to go, if actually taking a deep breath isn't always a great thing, because it's almost sending the message that you need to try and stop it. Take a deep breath. I don't know how many people have tried taking a deep breath sometimes, and it doesn't always. It's sometimes done in sort of with an approach of desperation. Please make this thing go, and it sort of gives us more fear, because we're trying to calm down, and actually, we're trying too hard to solve something. Whereas if we kind of get excited about the fear, almost go with the energy. Go, oh, this is getting me, because it is getting ready. You ready for a fight? You're not going to fight anyone, hopefully, but it's getting you ready for something. It's like, oh, great. If you go with that energy and not try and stop it, and just go, wow, this has got me. Whoa, feel the energy, and go with the excitement, and even ask for more of it, which is a very unusual thing to do. But go on, give me some more fear. What's it like? Wow, where's this going? It sort of cuts off the stress cycle in our mind. Negative thought, worrying thought, message to body, adrenaline, cortisol. That feeling goes, oh, this is bad. Tells our brain. Brain goes, you're right. You're absolutely right. You've got those, chemicals that come out. Quick, remind them. And then we go round and round, and that's how sort of anxiety happens, how depression eventually creeps in, because our body gets exhausted from this loop, it's fear, and it just goes, oh, I can't take any more. If the energy just wears out. So in going, yes, this is fine. I've got this fear. This is happening. Wow, I'm with it. I'm excited. Not you can say you're excited about it. Then you send a message to your body. That is not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just happening, and your body goes, huh? So, sort of confuses your body for a minute. All right, you're okay with this. Oh, what was I worried about? Okay, goes round. Eventually, it just you start to self-regulate anyway, because you're with that energy, with the fear. Turns out there's nothing to be scared of. Your body goes, well, this is a waste of time. Could be doing something else now, and it just calms. And then we go, not obviously not super quick, like it just ends. But there's something very powerful in going with your fear and being brave. You have to be brave, unfortunately. People are called brave and courageous. This courageous person, this brave person, those people had as much fear as we had, and they went through it. They moved through the fear. They went with the energy. They didn't not have fear. They still had it. I mean, there are people on this planet that seem to not have the same type of fear as us. I keep thinking of Alex Honnold, the free climber. I mean, he's a different creature. I don't know how he does that, going up a mountain free solo. But for most of us, we have to feel that fear and do it anyway. And that is something that we need to do in little steps and take a little risk here and a little risk there, not dive in and do something new, or when our mind convinces us that something's terrible, we're all doomed. Noticing the cognitive connection as well, and again, just turning towards it. And of course, there are times when we need distraction. We are human. I'd never teach a thing, in meditation that you have to do and that's it. There's no choice if you failed. Sometimes we need to go for a big walk or go for a run or watch something funny on TV. Sometimes it's too much. We need that kind of self-regulation. We need a different sort of input. It's healthy. It's fine. You've not failed in your spiritual quest if you don't. No, I've got to turn towards it. I've got to sit in a dark room and just face this all on my own. There are times for distraction. There are times for exercise, energy, but often our bodies will tell us what we need. Nervous tension. You need to get out and just get outside and walk. And we're all guilty of being more at home these days and more working from home. And our worlds sort of can shrink quite easily, and then we can be more fearful of the outside world when we do less. When we're less adventurous as well, and that can feed our sort of need to find things. We've got this negativity bias in life, so we search out the sort of bad news as well. So yeah, that's all I want to say on that front. Has anyone got any sort of questions or anything they'd like to talk about in terms of fear or anything that's sort of felt too much and you feel like it just got the better of you and it was stopping you doing something in life? And the same with feeling at ease as yourself. That's that's the same thing. I think all these things are connected. So balancing the seasons of your life, being aware of yourself and going, what do I need? What sort of energy have I got? Managing fear, again, different type of energy. It's still something that can be balanced. And then also just then finding ease in life. What we're looking for most of the time is ease. It's a sense of being at home in our own skin, completely at home. Think of a time when you just feel at home. Maybe when you're at home, of course. When you feel completely like yourself and there's no performance and there's no, desire for feedback from the world. validation from family, friends, work colleagues, anything like that. It's just, here I am. The sense of having achieved nothing. Um, Ram Dass, Ram Dass's whole plan was just to become no one, and I love that. There's nowadays all these us teachers, including myself, would try to be someone, on our social media, going, "Oh, look at me, I'm doing this thing, I've gone for a walk. Look at me, please, interact with something." And it's like that's the intent. Of course, the intention behind it's different for everyone, but there's a world where we're trying to sort of go me, my problem, da, 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 da. And isn't it nice to be no one? And for that to be all right, and for us to feel enough. There's a lot of talk about being enough. I reckon I started all this a few years ago when I released Always to Being, because no one talked about being enough. I'm joking, but I do hear that a lot more these days. Everyone going, "Oh, you've just got to be enough," and that was the sort of conclusion to my last course. But and it came from my constant wanting to be more through my music career, firstly, and then through when I worked in schools, want to be the best service provider in my school, and then suddenly I got some popularity teaching meditation and Insight Timer, and then I suddenly found myself again trying to prove myself. I sort of my guided meditation sort of got a bit of traction or whatever happened, and then you get put up on a big pedestal, and I was like, "Oh, I've got to be super Andy Hobson, the meditation teacher now." And I was like, every time that happens, "Oh, not again! It's happened again. I need to be nobody again." And and so I found that the best way to cut through that is authenticity, showing your vulnerabilities, humor always, not trying too hard to please everyone. Speaking about things that really matter to you and not just what you think the hot topic is of the well-being industry, which is always it's tiring. It's very tiring. It's so tiring. When I was a young lad in my early 20s, you got a CD. I got one from a Buddhist place, and I had one track on it. I think it's 4 tracks. I just listened to that all the time. You didn't have all these teachers out here, and it's wonderful. I am joking a little bit because it's amazing the amount of stuff we can learn. There's a course for everything. Heal your stress by learning to weave baskets underwater. Anything you name the problem, there's a way in. And a lot of these teachings, they've come from thousands of years ago, and they've all been reframed in new things. And it's overwhelming. It can be another layer or another distraction or another avoidance or another step in something and it's another step you don't need to take. And I include that with myself. Please don't listen to me anymore. Turn this off. How many have we got here? 87. It says it's brutal. 208 people have joined, but there's only 87 here now. So I've lost half my audience. Is that true? Absolutely brutal. And we are sort of boiled down to figures and numbers and things and likes and hearts and all this, and it's all lovely, but I don't know. What have we become, human race? I'm going to speak. I can see some comments here. I'm just rambling on about the usual stuff, but 89, 212 came here, and they slammed the door. They went, "Oh, what is this? What is this?" They'll miss out. I'll be giving the meaning of life in it shortly. I always start off with just the light stuff, then we go deep. Yeah, we all measured, aren't we? Silly. Very silly. No need for it. I just hit the microphone, sorry. I'm just reading. I'm just reading to see if there's anything I can sort of help with a little bit. Yeah, I'll just speak. I keep scrolling and it goes back down again. I'm a really slow reader, so it's a bit painful, isn't it? Right. Ella, I'll just speak to Ella. Ella, you mentioned anxiety and working through a bout of anxiety, and to reply internally with yes, okay, let go, sort of. Anxiety is a tricky old customer. It's in terms of low level anxiety, and again, anything I sort of say here, I always encourage you to find your own way with it and find what works. And you may find with anxiety that your approach will change as you sort of. I hate the word grow because I don't actually believe we grow. I think we shrink. If anything, we find more about we pull back layers that were already there. Growth is fine. It's just a word, but I feel like growth always feels like to me it feels like a club, the growth club. And if you're growing in your spiritual path, you're good, and if you're not, you're stuck. But I feel like we're sort of peeling away. We're sort of becoming smaller and becoming more self-aware. And Petter said it here, shedding layers. So yeah, with anxiety, I think it's the same. It's a type of fear. It's a sense of something's going to happen that I'm not going to like, or something I like. There's something I like here now, and it's going to go. Those sort of things, like that's that sense of unease. Like this is, when we're feeling okay and everything's all right. There's just that sense of but what's going to go wrong next? Something's not going to work, or or this isn't going to last. And it comes from, of course, in psychology, we know anxiety comes from previous experiences in our life, everything from childhood all the way to now. Times when we've not been met when we should have been met by a person. Missed. I always see ourselves as a jigsaw puzzle, and anxiety is like those little pieces that are missing, and they get triggered because they're like, "Oh, I'm not here to help you." And we've got to tend to those pieces, and we need to build them some way, or allow them to be missing. I also often find now, for me personally, with anxiety, which I get anxiety, believe it or not, of course I do. I found over the years, I had the plan that meditation would cure the anxiety, and I'd find the piece that was missing, that I was not given as a child, and here I will be relaxed, surfing on the waves of life. But actually, it's different to that. It's owning the anxiety. It's owning and not trying to force it away, and not trying to change it, and self-compassion and being with it, and letting yourself kind of go to drop into it. How do I explain it? You don't know when something's over. You've had an anxious thing you've been doing, and it's over, and you feel that sense of relief. It's kind of like cultivating that sense of relief before the thing is over, and sort of dropping into a sense of, I've done, wow, I'm doing this. I did it, and it's here. And acceptance is overused, but it's another. All these words. I'm not a very good teacher in that I just get triggered by all the words that are used now. Acceptance, surrender, all of it. But acceptance is a hugely powerful one. It's such a but not acceptance in a kind of giving in, but in a real owning of that feeling, and feeling it, and feeling that you've not got anything wrong, by feeling anxious. You haven't got life wrong, and you're not over exaggerating, and you're fine with or without anxiety, if that makes sense. And then, as I said, seeing what happens, being playful with it. If you feel in that space, especially if it rises as fear, seeing what it's like to ask for more of it and go, "Whoa, what, you got this much? Okay, go on then," and sort of get excited about it. And it feels like a weird thing to do, but sort of kind of like, "Come on, let's go." And that's rather than trying to calm it and breathe and deal with this, and that works for some people, definitely. I feel that you've got to go with the energy, and that's just what works for me. And I don't teach anything that I haven't tried myself and don't practice myself. So we're all different, but I do find that is a sort of a mindfulness practice, because you're going with the energy. You're not trying to fight it. You're not judging it with it, and you're it is an excitement in the body. You would call it fear. That's a label, but it's of course it's got a caution behind it, because we're getting ready for something, but it's kind of like, it's an alertness. Yeah. I hope that helps a little bit. We've got kind of 12 minutes left. I sometimes go over a little bit. I hope that's all right. I know some people might have to get off and whatnot. I know what I need to do. I'm going to put my course. There's a little button I can press and it'll bring my course up. So if anyone wants to do a course, Whispers Beneath an Ancient Sun is an audio adventure like no other. It's bonkers. And so I created something that I wanted to be like a world. So I've created this world called Celestria, where you learn about how to balance yourself in the seasons. And you go on an adventure and you meet wizards, you meet a sorceress, you go on a griffin ride. And these are all the sort of decorations of the course. There's lots of teaching in between, but it's not very obvious all the way through. And the idea, I feel like when you go to a retreat or somewhere, or you meditate, you go into an environment that cultivates that. And I felt like bringing this visual world would be another environment in order to experience these things and feel safe. Alongside my interest in the unconscious and how imagery and sort of an audio experience can reach places that just talking doesn't. Carl Jung, I always speak about this, but the collective unconscious as well. And archetypes, wizards and sorceresses and ravens and jackdaws and things like that can all feed into our, they can all help us make sense of things, and it's been used throughout history really to understand ourselves, spirit animals and, there's so many expressions involving animals. I feel like this, I feel like, it's a different way in, and I kind of I felt like I'd said enough of what I teach in one format. And I'm always interested in different ways to translate things and make them accessible to people that might not as well. So I had a sort of neurodivergent feel in that as well. Anyone that sort of struggles to sit and meditate might find that helpful. So I've got to press a button. Look at this. Will it work? Incredible. There you go. I posted it. I did it. So that's my course, Whispers Beneath an Ancient Sun, and I don't think you'll probably hear anything like it in your life. I think I've created a new genre. But the main thing is that this sounds very pretentious, but it's a mirror, really. It's a mirror for yourself, and it's not about me teaching you, but it's about you finding your own meaning within it and your own experience. It's kind of experiential course. That'll do. Right. Oh, thank you, Katie. I saw you wrote a lovely review, Katie, actually. Thank you so much. A lot of people have just written really, really lovely things about this course. It means so much because you create things and you don't know how they'll be received. And again, I went in not trying to make something to please anyone or to tick a box or anything like that. I did it purely out of love for this thing. So it was okay to release it because I didn't, I just loved making it and I loved what it was. And I don't know if it's everyone's cup of tea, but that's the reviews are kind of such a bonus as well. So thank you for that. Has anyone got any questions or anything? I'm going to do a couple of songs for you. I always wonder if I do a song or not, but the couple of songs came out of writing this course, out of some of the sort of archetypes, imagery, and sort of there's a couple that sort of summarise the feeling of going on an adventure and conquering your fears and going into unknown territories and not always winning. That's another thing, not always being the winner at the end of it. So I wrote a couple of songs and I always wonder where the songs fit in, but I just think music's always got this transcendent, yeah, sort of way of speaking to people as well. But I have left them to the end, so that if you've had the teaching and you are now enlightened and ready to go out into the world, you're free. Be free. But if you'd like to stay for a couple of songs, then that'd be lovely. Hopefully my voice will not fail me because I have been talking, reading. I did story time tonight, bedtime, and some of those books go on and on and on. Right. If I take... shall I take this down? Can I take it down? Probably. Let's get rid of that. Right. So I'm just going to grab a guitar and like the person that, you have a party or something and there's someone that gets their guitar out and ruins it all. No one has to sit there awkwardly and listen. That's what I'm going to do. There you go. Not really. Right. I've just got to remember what I've got to press. I've got to press a few buttons first. So just bear with me. Have a little drink of water as well. I just have to say thank you so much everyone for coming along and listening. And really, it's lovely to do these sessions. It's there's always strange being online. It's odd, but I feel really sort of connected. And I've actually met some of you as well, which is quite nice in person. And I think it's all about community at the moment. I think the world needs community, whether it's online, whether it's offline. It needs sanity. There is an ebook. If you want an ebook of this course, it's available. I'm going to level with you. So I did one for Doorways to Being, and it cost quite a lot of money actually to publish it. And it was lovely to get all the books out there, but it was a lot of money. So I've done a version of it that's quite basic. I'll be honest with you. There's no pictures or anything, but it's kind of a transcript of the course. So if you like it, you can sort of read along. And I've taken a few bits and bobs out and edited it a bit, but it's pretty rough and ready. Right. Okay, bear with me one moment. I'm going to mute it so that you don't have to hear any bangs as I plug my guitar in. Floating on high winds, looking for adventure, heavy with sunlight, tonight, feeling the moment, made it with a hustle, riding out the heat wave, hoping twisting round corners, seeking out sapphires, painted with moonlight. Tonight, 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 seeing dark colors, mated with a hustle, rattle down the runway, only to be left behind. But something's coming, I don't know where I am, hiding like the heat wave, the sun. Ever after, like the songbird humming, I can't find the feeling I know. Oh, oh. I took the jackdaw hero out of the rain and sold his soul to mine. And now I won't back down, whatever I do. I want that medal by myself. I took my fright to a river washed over the moon and soared up to the raven. And now we guard when the battles roll over the moon, a sound that we suffer by ourselves. Na 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 na. Okay, this song I wrote around the chorus. In fact, it sort of sums up a bit of the chorus. It's called Whispers. When winter comes, we fall asleep. Our fears, they grow in company, and all is quiet. In spring, we hold the earth and sand. With air, we find our everlasting love, love in whispers. Wild is the wind as it whispers in the night to the fires in our lives, and they won't burn out for a while. Wild is the wind as it listens to the plight of the struggles in our lives, and I won't come down for a while. For a while, summer comes with eager light. We hold them close, breathe in the sky above, above in whispers. As autumn's cloak is drawing in, we cradle warmth like medicine, and all's forgiven. Wild is the wind that listens to the plight of the struggles in our lives. They won't burn out for a while, for a while. Wild is the wind that whispers in the night to the fires in our lives. They won't burn out for a while, for a while. Okay. Feel the sun upon your eyes. Your way is clear. Go gently now. In your heart, you will know it's been way too long, way too long. Turn around and see yourself with kinder eyes, with loving eyes. And after all, the dust has cleared, then you will know that we are one. You are the sun, the moon and stars, the day and night moving through you. The darkest night, the deepest fears, they won't stay too long, stay too long. So turn around and see yourself with brighter eyes, with loving eyes. Then love and light will fill the sky, and I believe that we are one. Feel the sun on your skin, let the warm and light wash over you. Yeah, 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 yeah. See the stars all around, feel the healing rain pouring down. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Feel the sun on your skin, let the warm and light wash over you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Take these words as you will. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. It flows through all things, inside and outside, and returns to the origin of all things. The Tao is great. The universe is great. Earth is great. Man is great. These are the four great powers. Man follows the earth follows the universe follows the Tao follows only itself. I love the fact it says everything's great. Everything's great. Let that be the lesson of today. Find the greatness in this moment and be your peacekeeper. And you're great. I'm great. That guitar's great. And these lights are great. And this strange backdrop I've seemed to have adopted is great. So just remember that. We're all great. And that is the reason I came here today. To remind us all and play some songs. Right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to go now because really I'm just, overstepping the mark and you'll all be gone and it'd be embarrassing when it's just two of you left.